What is up, fishaholics? And today I'm out here on Fort Pond Bay in Montauk, New York. And I'm out here in the Hobie Outback dropping down a small 1/2 ounce or 3/4 ounce white and silver Spro Bucktail tipped with American Eel Strip Bait. And I'm going to be trying to catch some Fluke. And there's been just so much bait up here in Fort Pond Bay this year. And I've been having great success, catching striped bass on light tackle up in here, and as well as bluefish. And I figured, you know what, I might as well, come out here in the kayak one day and try and catch some Fluke, because if those striped bass and bluefish are being drawn into Fort Pond Bay because of all this bait, there's obviously got to be some good Fluke that are being drawn to this location. And that's basically why I'm here, and hopefully I'll be able to get a couple nice Fluke and maybe even get a couple for the table. There he is, fish on. Alright, well, first Fluke of the day right there, guys. I didn't even hook him in the mouth, though. So that must mean that these fish are kind of finicky. I hooked him kind of on his underside there. Nice little Fluke. He's probably around 14 inches. Get him back in the water. But yeah, it took me around 20-30 minutes to get my first bite, which I'm really surprised. But basically, this is my little white and silver, 1/2 ounce or 3/4 ounce Spro Bucktail here that I'm using, tipped with a strip of American Eel fillet, which I'm using as my strip bait. And you can check out this little video clip here of how I basically fillet the eels and make myself strip baits for Fluke fishing. But I broke the ice, caught at least one little Fluke. Let's try and catch some more. I'm hoping I can get a couple Fluke that are over 18 inches so that I can keep one or two for the table, and hopefully the action picks up a little bit. I caught that Fluke in 25-27 feet of water. I moved a little bit shallower and was only here for about 5 minutes or so, and then I snagged or caught that Fluke. But hopefully there's a few more down there. There he is. I think I found a little honey hole. Not a Fluke, but a little sea robin. But that's 2 bites in 5 minutes of fishing once I made a little bit of a move. Oh, fell right off. That works out. There he is, fish on. Little Fluke. Whoa. Another little guy. This one's maybe around 12 inches, but he really ate that Spro Bucktail. He almost choked it. He really ate that. See you later, little buddy. Go get 10 pounds. I keep moving a little bit closer to the shoreline and moving a little bit shallower, and I'm getting a few more bites, so maybe the Fluke are a little bit shallower. When I first started fishing, in the beginning of the video, I was out in like 40 feet of water and wasn't getting any bites at all. Moved in another 20 feet and bam, got my first bite. Then I just moved in another 5 or 6 feet or so, and bam, I got another bite. So I have a feeling the Fluke are going to be a little bit shallower maybe, because a lot of that bait is really shallow. A lot of the stripers are pushing that bait up along the shoreline. So those Fluke are going to be, kind of probably 20 feet and even shallower. I might even catch a couple Fluke in 4 or 5 feet of water. That's a good fish right here.
Really good fish. Oh, not as big as I thought. For whatever reason, this fish felt a lot bigger than what he turned out to be. But I'm establishing a little bit of a pattern right now, and one after the other, since I started moving shallow, you know, I'm finding fish. This one's here is about maybe 14.5, maybe 15 inches. They're getting a little bigger. Right on, right on. Let's catch some more. That fluke right there hit it on the fall, which probably 90% of the time, when you let that jig drop back down to the bottom, you know, you kind of want to let it fall on a tight line so you can feel everything. But 90% of the time, that's when those fluke are going to nail it. Right on the fall. Oh, missed him. I missed him. See if I can get him again. I think he hit the tail. He hit the tail end of the bait. Wow, that's a first. That fluke must have got a good hold of that bait, and he ripped that eel right off the hook. That's really hard to do for you know, any fish, to rip that eel off a hook. That's one of the reasons why I use it, because it's so super strong. But I was fishing with that piece of bait for quite a while, so that's why it probably, you know, easily just got ripped right off the hook. Nice and baited up. That looks pretty good. I'm feeling a 4-pounder right now. I'm feeling a 4-pounder. When I first got out on the water today, it was the end of the incoming tide. And, you know, since the tide changed around, like right now it's the beginning of the outgoing, it just started to trickle and create a little bit of current moving out. You know, I noticed I started to get a few more bites. And, you know, usually this location is a lot better on the outgoing tide. You know, I was kind of eager and wanted to get out here as soon as possible, so I, you know, came out here on the wrong part of the tide. And for that reason, you know, I didn't catch too many fish or have too many bites until this tide started to move out. And, you know, this location for striped bass, fluke, you know, is always an excellent location on an outgoing tide. And I feel because, you know, when the tide is coming out of Fort Pond here, it goes around this point that I have here in front of me, and it can be a pretty strong current. It probably stirs up the bottom and moves the bait around, and that's what causes the fluke or the stripers to feed. There he is. That's a good fish. That's a good fish. Feels good. Oh yeah, that's a nice one. That's a nice one right there, guys. Woo! Just got dinner, and I got my lens probably soaking wet. But that's exactly why you gotta come and fish the north side Montauk on an outgoing tide right there. Haha! That's an easy 20-inch fluke right there. Woo! Got myself some dinner. See how long this fluke is. "19-inch fluke, so this fish is probably around, you know, 3.5 pounds. A good fluke to keep for the table, not too large and not too small, so I'll get a good amount of meat off this one little fish. But man, this fish almost choked this Spro Bucktail here. He really ate it good. Really ate it good. Got my big clip stringer here. This is my favorite stringer to use for putting my fish on, whether I'm in a kayak or fishing from the surf. And you can really put some big fish on this big clip here. Just had a few fish in front of me making splashes. Looked like bluefish maybe, or something, I don't know, but I'm gonna take my jig. Oh, fish on! Oh, we got off. Yep, it was a bluefish. Cut my little Spro Bucktail right off. Damn, man. That was one of my favorite little Spro Bucktails, and it was my last one that was that size. I'm gonna try tying on a little bit bigger Spro Bucktail. This one I believe is around 1 ounces, maybe even 1.5 or 1 1/4. Definitely a lot bigger than the half or 3/4 ounce Spro Bucktail I was using. And then I'm going to move out into a little bit deeper water, and maybe I'll be able to find a few more bigger fish. There he is. Good fish. I think it might be a good one, but he's lightening up a little bit. Never mind. Not as big as I thought he would be, but this little fish here is probably around 16 inches. And he ate that larger Spro Bucktail, you know, but like I said, you know, any fish that I was going to catch on this bigger profile was going to be, you know, a little bit larger fluke. See you later, buddy. Go get 10 pounds. All right, fishaholics, well, it's been a while since my last fluke bite, and the bite has definitely dropped off significantly. You know, I was catching a lot of my fish, you know, on every drift or one after the other, and you know, the fish just quit biting for whatever reason. The tide is running pretty hard right now, so maybe they just decided to quit biting once the tide picked up a little bit. And that's sometimes how it is when you're fluke fishing. You know, the fluke like to bite in the beginning of the tide and the end of the tide. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you have any more questions, post a comment in the comment section below, or look in the description below for you know, all the information about the cameras I was using to film this video, or the kayak. This is a Hobie Outback kayak, but you can look down in the description for information where you could purchase a Hobie kayak, and as well look down in the description, you find links for the tackle that I was using to catch the fluke that I was catching today out here in Fort Pond Bay on the north side of Montauk. But anyways, all in all, I think it was a great day. You know, it was a great couple hours of fishing, and never forget, live to fish, fish to live. I'll see you guys out on the water. Tight lines.